Welcome into the first edition of Runner's Recap with Rod Barnes, the head coach of the CSUB men's basketball program. I'm Carrie Osep, and I'm excited to have you join me today. Thank you so much.
I'm excited to be here with you. This is a really special time for us during the season, and I'm excited to spend it with you starting off this new season for us.
I appreciate it, and I'm glad to get the exclusive interview from the head coach. And we're going to start right away. Okay. The Runners are on the rise. It's kind of the talk amongst everyone. So when we look at that and look at a program that's on the come up, what can you say, what does that mean, I guess, as a head coach for you when you are telling everyone that the Road Runners are on the rise?
Well, it means that our program, first of all, there's a lot of things that go into building a program, and we've built a foundation. Now we're on the rise. And building a foundation, you're trying to get everyone on the same page, from our administration to our coaches to the staff to the players to the community to our students, and now we're on the rise. We've spent 8 years here building a program, and now we're on the rise. We're getting ready to take that next step.
Yes, so you just mentioned in your 8th year. So I was going to ask that. How long does it normally take for a coach, and particularly just for you and your coaching experience, to not only build that foundation, but then to start feeling comfortable like you have what you need to start building?
In most situations, it's a 5-year process. When I was hired here, I told them it would take us 5 years to put everything into place, and then we would try to build from that. And 5 years ago, after that 5th season, we went to the NCAA tournament, and then the next year, we went to the Final Four of the NIT and made it to Madison Square Garden. So that was really the foundation that took us 5 years to put everything in place. And that's why I say we're on the rise now, because I think everyone has an expectation for our men's basketball program to be good, and we want to go from good to great. And so a solid foundation. Now it's time to take it to the next level.
And what was your expectation then heading into that first year? Did you expect to be where you guys are? And I know postseason consistency is what any program wants, but do you feel like you're there? Is this where you wanted to be in your 8th year?
It is. I mean, you know, we made the NCAA tournament. We also went to the NIT Final Four, and the first time in the history of college men's basketball for a number 8 seed to play in the Final Four of the NIT. So we feel like in our program last year we had some injuries. That was a setback for us. We've also you know, had some before the season and then during the season, but also we're very young and we're continuing. But we feel really good about where our program. We feel like a lot of the pieces that weren't there before, that they're here now. And then we have a national reputation right now. And obviously when you're building a program, you know, we recruit on a national basis, and now I think people are starting to respect us, whether that's student athletes or whether that's media, whether that's other coaches and players. They're starting to respect what we do here at Bakersfield.
And I'm sure that feels good to get that respect. And I want to talk about, we talked a little bit about the past, a little about the future, but let's talk about the current team right now. You mentioned the injuries. So looking at this season, how excited are you to get some of those guys back from injury?
I'm really excited because we thought several of the guys were key pieces to last year's team. Taze Moore, 6'4" guard, that we thought last year would have an opportunity to maybe start for us, but because of his leg injury, he was out the whole season. James Subert, who we thought maybe one of the best rebounders we've had since we've been here, he was out with another knee injury. And then Darren Persons, a freshman who we were really high on from Fresno, California. He's a 6'6" forward, so we felt like with those guys last year we would have a lot of depth, and then they all were down with injuries. So we were really excited about adding them to some of the guys that we already had playing. So adding 3 guys that were in your program that we lost to injuries, to have them to this should just build on the depth that we have on this year's team.
And when you've looked already during those summer workouts and also with preseason, what can you see that is maybe going to be the standout factor in this upcoming season?
I think our speed and athleticism is what really has stood out to me the most. We can really get up and down the floor. We have a lot of different guys that we can play, so I think our depth is really important. And I think we're a very versatile team. We can play a lot of different ways. We could start guys that are 6'8", 6'8", 6'8", and 6'8" probably in 4 positions, but we also could play really small with guards. So it's really exciting when you have that many players that you can kind of add to the rotation, and really just chemistry becomes the thing that you're working on each and every day to get everyone on the same page.
And I know from previous seasons you've had the bigs, and not so much this year. So I know, is that kind of where the transition we're seeing, why it's going to be an up-tempo game for you guys and a faster pace on the court?
Well, it is. I mean, for the last 4 years, we've had a big guy inside that we had to wait on because obviously they're important when you have guys that are 6'10" and 6'9". But this year, we're a smaller team, but we're a more athletic team. That's why the style of play has to change, because to play to our strength, and as a coach, that's what you want to do. And in our forward positions, as we call them, we're much more faster than what we've been in the past. So I would expect the game and the pace of the game to be a whole lot faster than it's been.
Yeah, and I know, too, as a fan of basketball, the speed is fun to watch. So I know that we're going to get a lot of fans. I'm sure that are going to see some high-flying basketball when you guys are out there on the court. And I know, Coach Barnes, you are a defensive-minded man. So is that still in the game plan, in the realm with the speed that you have on the team? Is that going to be what you hope to see come out to on the other side of the court?
Well, that's our calling card. I think when we have more athletes, when we're faster, that means we can make people uncomfortable in the way that we play, because we'll speed them up. Also, it plays into our hands a little bit with the depth. In the past, we've maybe had that 6'10" guy, but if he got in foul trouble, we would have to change the way we play. Because we're a fast, more athletic team, we can play the same way the entire game, which again, it makes it fun for the coach, because we don't have to change the pace of the game. If we sub down, one of our forward goes in for the other one, we don't have to change. Last year and the previous 4 years, when we lost our center, then we would play and try to change the game from playing a slower pace to a faster pace. Also, we're a pressing team, and we love the press. So there's a lot of different guys that we could throw in the game to kind of give people different looks. So it's a work in progress, because, again, we've got a lot of new guys that we're implementing. But it's also a fun for me as a coach, because I think at the end of the year we can be a great defensive team.
And I got to see practice in preseason there, and you get up and down the court as well. You were all over the place, so you definitely bring a lot of energy to practice.
That's not true. That's not true. I am this quiet coach that doesn't, I stand in one place most of the time. I don't raise my voice. I think that may have been my twin you saw coaching it.
Maybe no, I thought it was rubbing off from the players that you were moving around all over. I was like, okay.
I am very passionate about the game. I love the game.
Right.
I love being involved with our players. That's a time of really engaging with them. I think any company, business, program, organization, most of the time they follow their leader, especially if they're successful. And I bring that excitement, that enthusiasm, that passion on a daily basis, because that's the expectation I have of our players. And I think it's easier for them to make that adjustment to our culture if they see the coaches out there working extremely hard and doing it with a lot of love and passion for the game.
No doubt about that. And I can tell, too, that the players are really bought into you, because when you were talking, they are all listening and zoned in. So that was pretty cool to see. And speaking of the players, obviously, to be a speedy team, you're going to have a lot of talent. And when you look at the talent on your team, you pull from junior colleges. So I wanted to ask you, what's your perspective on getting some of those JUCO transfers in? Because I know sometimes coaches like to get some guys from their freshman year, but you're getting the older guys. What has that been like to mix both of those?
Well, just the way we want to play. A lot of times we're looking for a certain type of student athlete, a certain type of player. And not all the time you can find that in a high school kid that's willing to make some of the sacrifices you have to make to be a defensive-minded player, and also just our culture here. A lot of the what we stand for, just from a university standpoint, we deal with graduating first-generational students, and a lot of times those are the guys that are in junior college, and we want to meet that mission of first-generation graduates. But also there some of the times, and I guess it's just my comfort level, I like to try to recruit guys that kind of have an edge to them. It's kind of their second time. It's kind of something to prove yourself to someone. And coming here, transitioning from Division II to Division I, we wanted, student athletes in our program that really had something to prove. And sometimes that's better to go out. But also with our high school kids that we recruit, we a lot of times look for guys that are what you would call under-recruited, that one that kind of the diamond in the rough, got passed over. Just because of the way we play. We want to play with a lot of enthusiasm. We want to play with a lot of attitude, a lot of toughness, a lot to say they have something to prove. And when you fit all of those pillars, then it works for us as far as, you being a part of our team.
It has worked. We've seen the success, so your method is fitting right in. And when you talk about high school talent, is it important to you to try to keep some Bakersfield talent here with the Roadrunners?
It is, and one thing about, and I've been asked that question a lot, if you look at any of the national programs, whether that's Duke, that's Kentucky, North Carolina, they recruit on a national level. Mm-hmm. And that's where we want to be. You look at Gonzaga, a team that we'll be playing this year, they have a lot of foreign kids, but also they have kids that are not necessarily from the Washington area, so, Washington State. So that's one of the things for us, we want to become a national brand. Sometimes you have to go outside of the city of Bakersfield, but we always want to take care of home first. It's always important that the top kids in this city want to come and play for us, and we are a program that we want kids that want to be here. First starting in Bakersfield, but if it's in the state of California, it's fine. But if it's across this nation, we're fine with that. But we want people to take pride and want to be here in Bakersfield and help us build something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think a very cool factor on your team is that you have Greg McCall, the head coach of the women's basketball program, has a son playing with you, but not only that, your son is also going to be out on the court. So it seems like you like to keep the family ties and family connection here with the CSUB program. Is that true?
That's true, because it's really important, I think, and again, to pattern ourselves out the great programs. When you see other people and the success they've had, and that's what we're trying to do in our program. We want people that are very familiar with our culture, very familiar with what we're trying to do. When you have, student athletes like my son, there's an automatic buy-in. When you have Greg McCall's son, who has watched us since I've been here for 8 years. When I first got here, he was probably 10, 11 years old, and now to be a part of our program, there's a buy-in that you can't, you can't pay for it. So because they're so familiar with what you do, they believe in it.
Right.
And so as we continue to grow, and I talked about that foundation, and now my other son is on the staff. We have a former player in Brent Rapp that's on our staff. You start to build that sense of community, that sense of family, that culture that, again, when you look across the country, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, there's a sense of pride there to go when you're part of something that's bigger than you. And I think it's easy to sell that when you have people that are really close to the process. And this has been a process, and now we're starting to benefit from guys being around. And one of them happens to be Greg McCall's son, Justin McCall. We're excited, and he's also one of those guys that I explained that was a kind of diamond in the rough. I think his better basketball is ahead of him, and just as a coach, you try to identify that, and I think we've got a really good player in Justin.
Absolutely, and talking to, obviously, talent is very important when you're recruiting, and you want to see the talent on the floor, but it sounds to me like what you really zone in on or key in on is individuals that you can see potential in. And for you as a coach, has that always been your mentality to, as you're talking about, building that or taking the diamond out of the rough? It
has, because I think that probably goes back to who I am. I was recruited at the University of Mississippi. We had a 15-man roster then, and I was the 15th guy. Basically, I think I got recruited because I was a kid that was from the state of Mississippi. And I went in and being the 15th guy, and you know, after 4 years, I was captain of the team, and all conference and all American in some magazines. So, but coach saw something in me, and that's what I try to do. I try to look beyond maybe the immediate, because again, our program to me is about a process. It's kind of, you know, reflection of life. It's a process. So I try to look a little bit beyond, can he shoot, can he dribble? Because I think we can teach guys that, but is the type of person, I would like to be around if they weren't playing for me. Are they goal oriented? You know, because again, I think the belief that someone has in themselves is way beyond what they may show you or you may see at 16 years old. So that's really huge to me. And then it's kind of a challenge or motivation or something to kind of see other coaches like, I didn't know he was going to be that good. So it's kind of this competitive thing that I think I've taken, that when I look at myself and I started off playing, no one thought I would be all conference. No one thought I would be one of the best point guards in all of America. And I look for guys that I think they have that same kind of potential to surprise people, or really have people wondering, you know, man, we never thought he would be that good.
Yeah, so you have a little bit of that edge.
Yes.
But you can see then why your players are so bought in. Right. So that's a cool mentality for you to bring to the court. And now we're going to get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty. So the Western Athletic Conference, the preseason numbers came out, and you guys were ranked 5th. And I know that you've made some of those postseason pushes in the past few years, but last year fell a little bit short, I'm sure, of your postseason goals.
Oh, no doubt.
So what are the expectations outside of, from what everyone else is saying, what are internal expectations and goals for you guys this year?
Well, the funny thing about John Wooden talked about it in one of his books, and he also was stressed to his team. We just want to be as good as we can possibly be. Just so having him, he won a lot of national championships. He had a lot of great players, and he did a great job of coaching them. With our team, my talk is to them that every single day we want to get better. And I told them that we have a high ceiling. What I mean by that, we could be really, really good by the end of the year, but it's going to take us working hard every day. I talk to them because I think that's the way life is. You know, I talk to them from life skills. That's my first, I think, responsibility as the head coach, to teach them life skills. And we talk about in life, each year we want to maximize it. And this year we want to do that. Obviously, it's always postseason. You always want to have a winning season. But at the end of the year, we want it to be noticeable to everyone else, but mostly noticeable to us, that we've improved, we've gotten better, and this particular team is as good as they could possibly be at the end of the year. So it's always because we want to win. We have a winning mentality. And our deal is to have a winning season. If you have a winning season, it gives you postseason. But we don't take a number or you know, we don't set a goal in a sense to say something, because I think it may limit us. You know, it may limit us. I told them in 2016, we went to the NCAA tournament. It was a great thing for our university. It was a great thing for our program. It was a great thing for the city of Bakersfield and the surrounding Kern County. It was an awesome deal. But we went into the season saying that we wanted to go to the NCAA tournament. So now we get to the NCAA tournament, then you got to reset your goals. And, you know, obviously being the first time, there was a goal we set, and we're excited that we accomplished that goal. But we feel like now we have a program, and I guess as the foundation been built, we just say, hey, if we can be the best that we could possibly be at the end of the year. Now, do I think we have a tournament talented team? Yeah, but we're not tournament ready right now because there's a lot of work between now and then.
Okay, so no hot takes from you. Not going to get it out of you. Well, we'll say the community, I'm sure, is hoping to see you guys make that tournament run once again. So, Coach, we've talked a lot about the team and the program already and some of the individuals on your court this year. Right. But now I'm going to do a little bit of a turnaround to get to know you a little bit better. We're going to call this Breaking It Down with Barnes, put him in the hot seat. Not really. But you can take some time to think these questions out. But This is the first one. When you think basketball, this is the ultimate question, right? Do you have, when you look at the top player in the NBA, who do you think it is? MJ, or is LeBron James making the run at it?
When you say MJ, are you talking about Michael Jordan?
Of course.
I am a coach that believes in championships. So I would always say the person that's won the most championships, and I would have to give that to Michael Jordan.
Okay.
I'm a fan of LeBron James, and what I think what he's done has been unbelievable. But just around friends and family, I couldn't argue because I'm always saying, hey, you got to bring championship home to prove of your greatness. And I think Michael was the one. I also think Michael revolutionized the NBA, and to take a whole, I would say, league, the whole sense of the basketball culture, and change it, you would have to say he's the greatest.
All right. I like both.
I do too.
So that's usually where I go. LeBron, obviously, for us younger generational kids, he's the one we got to watch more so he's fun to watch, but I'll take both. All right, so from there, hot topic right now.
We can have both.
Yeah, you can take it all. But from there, we are going to move to baseball because obviously a hot topic right now for the area is the Dodgers have made it into the championship series. So who you got in this NLCS, Dodgers or the Milwaukee Brewers?
I mean, how could I be here in Bakersfield, California, and say the Milwaukee Brewers? I mean, even if I lived in Milwaukee, I would have to say the Dodgers if I was born in Milwaukee. But the Dodgers, I mean, obviously, just being out here, and I've always followed baseball, and you know, obviously they've had a kind of up and down season a little bit, but I would have to say the Dodgers. We'll root for the state team.
All right, sticking with the blue.
Sticking with the blue.
Get it.
Yes.
And then this is a little bit more probably thought out, but social media. It's been a new thing I'm sure that you've jumped on board with and you have to watch your athletes with. So social media, is it a good thing for college athletes or not?
You know, that's a difficult question. I think there's, in everything, especially when there's a change, there's good and bad. And so I would answer that. There's a lot of good with social media, but also I think the difficult part comes that student athletes or young people, they can put things on there and 15 years later, people are still talking about what they've done. And to me, that's really a very bad thing, because as we all mature and change, things that we might do when we're 18 and 19, I definitely won't want some of the conversations I had or some of the things I did when I was a high school or when I was a college student athlete to now someone actually bring that back up and said, do you remember when you said this or you did this? But also I think it's fun, and it's something that, you know, obviously we monitor with our student athletes and we talk to them about it almost weekly, because again, I wouldn't want someone to wake up at night and you know, have something on Instagram or Twitter or any parts of social media and it not characterize or really who that young man or that young lady might be. So we're constantly talking to them about that.
So another thing you have to add to the coaching, I guess you could say. But quick shout out, Coach Barnes is on Twitter, so if everyone wants to give him a follow, please do.
Please do.
And then favorite coach of all time, do you have one?
Wow, favorite coach of all time. Well, that would have to be my mentor, Rob Evans, who coached at the University of Mississippi and then coached at Arizona State. You might know something about that. and so he would be my favorite coach, because he was the one that I think kind of taken my coaching philosophy afterwards and also lived my life, because he was a great human being and a great role model, which he is. So that would be my favorite coach.
Okay, the Sun Devil is happy to hear that. And the last one, Coach, is going to be, I'm still pretty new in the area of Bakersfield.
Yes.
So what's your go-to spot in Bakersfield, or favorite spot that you like to hang out at?
Oh, wow. It depends on where you mean hanging out. If we're talking about eating, I'm a foodie. So there's a lot of different places that I like to to go, and that would be hard. I mean, I would probably get booed if I would say so I would just say I like to go eat. I like to go to the movies. I like going to church. And when we're off air, I will tell you some hot spots and some great places to go.
Keep it off record, because you got to help me out. I'm still new in town. Well,
all right.
That is the breakdown with Barnes, and from there, I'm going to ask you, because of course we want to get people out to your games to see some of this high-flying action. So we got the first game is going to be the blue-gold scrimmage for the men's team, and when is that?
That is October the 18th at 7 o'clock. We really want to pack the place. It's free. You get a chance to see our team, and I think if you come, you'll want to come back. You'll want to buy season tickets, but a really fun night. Just for me, I would probably be excited because we're expecting a sellout. So please get there early. It starts at 7 o'clock. But also, as a defensive-minded coach, there probably won't be much defense played that night. So I
see a lot of points.
We'll see a lot of points, a lot of dunks. And no defense.
Hey, well, I'll come for the dunks. And I'm sure everyone else will too.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Coach Barnes. I appreciate you joining me and look forward to doing this. This is going to be a weekly segment, so make sure to catch the Runners Recap with Rod Barnes. Thanks so much.